I think the first time I noticed her lips, really noticed them. She was yelling at her son for tracking mud into the kitchen. It wasn't what she said. It was how her voice cracked on the last word. She was trying to be stern, but she was exhausted. Her hair was still damp from a rushed shower, a towel slung over one shoulder like she'd forgotten it was there. And there I was, sitting at their kitchen counter pretending not to look too long, pretending I didn't feel the shape of something dangerous start forming in my chest. Her name was Elena, Ms. Rivera to everyone else. To me, she was his mom, the friend who lent me crash space after I lost my apartment mid-semester, the woman who bought me groceries when she noticed I wasn't eating right, who made 2 cups of coffee in the morning and placed one quietly by my laptop without saying a word. She wore oversized sweaters, never makeup. Her fingers were always cold. She hummed when she watered her plants. And she had this laugh, this low, throaty, almost embarrassed laugh, like she wasn't used to people making her smile. I didn't plan any of it. I didn't even know what it was. But somewhere between the late nights helping her with the Wi-Fi and the quiet talks while her son was out, the way she looked at me changed. Or maybe I just noticed it had always been there. Like the night she came back from a dinner party, coat soaked from the rain. She was half shivering, half laughing, her heels in one hand, a bottle of wine in the other. "You still up?" she asked, breathless in the hallway. I nodded, already reaching for a towel. She let me take her coat, and for a second, just a second, her fingers brushed mine. She didn't pull away. We sat on the couch. Red wine. Too many candles. The kind of silence that feels less like absence and more like a held breath. She asked me if I had someone. A girlfriend. I shook my head. Then she laughed that soft, unsure laugh again, and said, "Don't waste your time on women who only want the surface. They always miss the good stuff underneath." I don't remember what I said back. Maybe nothing. Maybe something dumb. But I remember how her knees were touching mine, and neither of us moved. After that, things changed without saying they had. She started closing her bedroom door at night. I stopped sleeping with headphones. Our conversations got shorter, but slower. We avoided eye contact too long, then held it too long when it happened. There were mornings where she'd pass behind me in the kitchen and her hand would brush the small of my back, just enough to make my breath catch. I told myself it was nothing, but I started staying in more. He started going out more. And on one of those nights, I heard her knock on my door. Soft. Once. I opened it. She was in a robe. Hair down. No towel this time. "I thought I'd make tea," she said. But she didn't go to the kitchen. Instead, she stood there, arms crossed, breathing uneven, as if she didn't quite know what she'd come to ask for. Or maybe she did. Maybe she just wanted me to say it first. Then her phone buzzed. She glanced down, and whatever was in her face, whatever warmth or doubt or need, vanished. "I shouldn't be here," she whispered. But she didn't move. Neither did I. And then, someone rang the doorbell. The doorbell broke the moment like a crack splitting warm glass. She stepped back first. Fast, like she'd suddenly realized how close she'd been standing. I heard her swallow. Then she whispered, "That's probably Mateo, her son, my friend." Of course. I nodded, stepped aside, let the moment die a quiet death between us. She walked away barefoot, tugging the edge of her robe tighter around her waist. I stayed rooted, heart beating in my throat. That night, I didn't come out for tea. The days that followed were colder. Not outside, it was spring already, the days getting longer. But in the house, in her. We spoke, sure. Brief things. She asked about my job search, my classes. I gave her polite answers. We didn't talk about the wine, or the knock, or how she almost stayed. I told myself it was nothing. Just a strange moment, heat and proximity. It didn't mean anything. But I knew that wasn't true. I started noticing little things. The way she always checked the time when she spoke to me now, like she was reminding herself to keep a boundary. The way she never sat down anymore, always finding something to wipe or clean. And then one night, I found her crying. It was late. I'd come into the kitchen to get water and there she was, sitting on the floor, back against the fridge, glass of wine untouched beside her. She tried to hide her face at first, but her voice cracked when she said, "I didn't think anyone was still up." I sat down across from her, knees to knees. "I'm fine," she added, which of course meant she wasn't. I didn't ask what was wrong. I just waited. Finally, she spoke almost too quietly. "I was married for 17 years. He left when Mateo was 13. I thought I was over it. I thought I was beyond wanting anything from anyone." She looked up then, eyes red. "And then you moved in." I didn't say anything, because I didn't trust myself not to say too much. I wanted to tell her how many nights I stayed awake wondering if her door was open on purpose. How I'd caught myself memorizing the way she tucked her hair behind her ear when she was nervous. How I knew this could ruin everything, and still, I couldn't make myself leave. She shook her head. "You're too young." "I'm too." She didn't finish. She didn't need to. "You make me feel," she said instead, "like I'm someone again." I reached forward without thinking, just to touch her hand. Just enough. She let me. Her fingers turned over in mine, slow and certain. And we stayed like that. Two people sitting on a cold kitchen floor with too many years and too many fears between us. But she didn't pull away, and I didn't let go. The next morning, she didn't speak to me. Not out of coldness, more like fear. Avoidance became a language between us. She left coffee by the sink instead of at the table. She left for work before I came downstairs. She came home after I went to bed. But one night, 4 days later, the house lost power. A blown transformer during a storm. Mateo was out with friends. Just us. Candles flickering in the living room. Rain ticking soft against the windows. "I lit a few," she said, not meeting my eyes. "Didn't want to fall down the stairs." I nodded. "You always think ahead." Silence. She almost smiled. Almost. I sat on the edge of the couch. She stayed near the bookshelf, hand tracing the edge of a candle. The light made her look softer, but also sadder. Like something buried inside was starting to show. "You've been avoiding me," I said quietly. She didn't deny it. Instead, she sat beside me, not too close, but not far either. "I don't know how to want this without hating myself for it." "I don't hate you," I said. "I don't," she cut in. "Please, don't say it." But I wasn't going to say that. I wasn't that reckless. She looked down, shook her head. "You're my son's friend. You're 22. And you're not just his mom." My voice was too sharp. "You're you, Elena. You're the first person who ever really saw me. Not just some broke kid trying to figure his shit out." She didn't speak. Her jaw clenched. I thought I'd gone too far. But then she leaned in, just barely, and said, "Do you know how long it's been since someone touched me like I was worth something?" I froze. Then we heard the front door open. Mateo's voice. "Mom." Casual, loud, close. She bolted up like she'd been burned. "Living room," she called out, her voice too bright, too forced. She turned off the closest candle and stepped away like distance could erase whatever just passed between us. Mateo walked in, dripping from the rain, shaking off his jacket. God, it's pitch black out. Power's out all over. I nodded, heart racing. Elena wouldn't even look at me. He flopped onto the armchair, oblivious. "You guys just hanging out in the dark, huh?" "Just talking," I said, voice even. She still wouldn't look at me. A moment later, her phone buzzed on the table. She picked it up, glanced, and then stiffened. "Everything okay?" Mateo asked. She forced a smile. "Yeah, just work stuff." But I saw her thumb twitch. Not a lie, not exactly. But not the truth either. Because I saw the name on the screen, upside down from where I sat. Adrian. And underneath it, "See you Friday. I miss you." She turned the phone over, face down. But the damage was done. I wasn't the only one, and maybe I never had been. I couldn't stop replaying the name on her screen. Adrian. I didn't ask, and she didn't offer. But something in me twisted every time she smiled at her phone or walked out the door in heels. That Friday, I heard her get ready for my room. Perfume I'd never smelled on her before. Her footsteps lighter. Her voice humming, barely, but enough to feel like it wasn't mine to hear anymore. She left without saying goodbye. I paced the house like a ghost. Tried watching something. Tried sleeping. Ended up sitting in the dark kitchen again. Same chair, same silence, same damn feeling crawling up my spine. She got back late, past midnight. I heard the front door open, then close softly, the kind of quiet you only use when you're guilty or glowing. I waited, then I got up. I couldn't do this anymore. She was in the hallway, kicking off her shoes, surprised when she saw me. "Oh, hey," she said, startled. "Did I wake you?" I shook my head. No, I couldn't sleep. She looked at me for a moment, then past me, toward her bedroom door. "You okay? You seeing someone?" I asked. Came out sharper than I meant. No build-up. No tact. She blinked. "Excuse me?" "The message," I said. "From Adrian." Her shoulders stiffened. "That's not your business." "I think it is." She folded her arms. "Why? Because you touched my hand once on the kitchen floor?" I flinched. "Because I care." "That doesn't mean this is real," she said, voice rising. "Whatever's happening here, it's messy and confusing and selfish, and you deserve better." "I don't want better," I said. "I want you." And then it was out. No more pretending. No more half glances or words swallowed in silence. "I think about you all the time," I said, quieter now. "I can't sleep without wondering what you're feeling, what you're hiding, if I matter at all." She stepped back like I'd hit her. "You don't understand what this would mean." "I understand enough. You're my son's friend." "So what?" I snapped. "I'm not a kid. I'm not a mistake waiting to happen. I'm standing here, right now, telling you I choose you. Doesn't that matter?" Her eyes glassed over. Her lip trembled. She looked like she wanted to run. She also looked like she wanted to be held. "I'm scared," she said finally, almost inaudible. "Not of you. Of what I'd do if I let this happen." I stepped forward. She didn't move. My hand reached for hers, slower this time. Not demanding, just offering. She let me take it, and then her gaze fell to my mouth. Just for a breath, just long enough. I leaned in and the hallway light flicked on. "Mom!" "Mateo." We both froze. Her hand ripped out of mine. I turned, and there he was, staring at us. Not saying a word, just staring. He didn't yell. That made it worse. Mateo just stood there, blinking like he was still trying to process what he was seeing. Me, shirt wrinkled, eyes wide, standing too close to his mother. And her? She didn't even try to explain. Just took a step back and crossed her arms, like she could fold the moment away. "Mateo," she started, but her voice cracked. He didn't look at her. He looked at me. "You?" he said, almost laughing. "You? Listen, it's not what it looks like?" His voice finally rose, cracking on the edge of disbelief. "That's my mom, dude. You live in our house. You sleep down the hall from her. From me." Elena flinched. "He didn't do anything." "Don't," he snapped, cutting her off without even facing her. "Don't protect him right now." My stomach churned. There was nothing to say that didn't sound small or hollow. I tried anyway. "It wasn't supposed to happen like this. We didn't mean." He laughed again, but it was bitter now. "You didn't mean to fall for her?" "What, it just accidentally happened. Like slipping on the stairs." There was a pause. Too long. And then he whispered it, low and shaking. She was all I had left. The air changed, like the roof had shifted an inch lower. I looked at him then, really looked. Not as the guy who let me crash on his couch last fall, or the friend who brought me into his home without question, but as a son. One whose dad left. One whose mom carried too much in silence. One who had no idea what had been building between us in the walls of his own house. "She's not a weakness," I said softly. "She's not something I took." He stepped forward. "You don't get to define that for me." That's when Elena finally spoke again. But not to him. To me. "I think you should leave." It hit harder than I expected. "What? Just for now?" she added quickly, eyes locked on mine. "Please. This isn't something we can fix in front of him." But her voice was trembling. She didn't sound sure. She sounded like someone who was choosing the safer fire to put out first. So I nodded, and I left. I packed a bag with shaking hands, and Mateo didn't say a word. He sat at the kitchen table, arms folded tight across his chest like he was holding himself together. But when I got to the door, Elena followed. She didn't touch me, didn't cry, just looked at me with something shattered in her eyes and whispered. "He found out because I told him. Earlier. Before tonight." I froze. "What?" "I couldn't keep lying," she said. "Not to him. Not to myself." I took a step back. The air thinned between us. "You were planning to end it." She didn't say yes. She didn't say no. She just whispered. I didn't know what I was planning anymore. I didn't go far. Just the guest room at my cousin's across town. A mattress on the floor, a half-broken fan, a view of a brick wall. I didn't sleep much that first night. I kept hearing her voice. I didn't know what I was planning anymore. It stayed with me not just because it hurt, but because it was honest. 3 days passed. No messages. No calls. And then, on the 4th, she showed up. I heard her car before I saw her, the soft hum of tires outside the window. I opened the door before she could knock. She looked tired. Not broken, just worn down by everything unsaid. "I told him everything," she said. "I figured. He's not speaking to me," she added. "But I don't regret it. Not the honesty." I stepped aside. She didn't move. "I still don't know what to do," she said. "But I can't let the last thing between us be silence." I stared at her, hands shaking slightly at my sides. "So what is the last thing between us?" She finally stepped in, closed the door behind her, looked around the room like she wasn't sure what belonged to her and what didn't. "I didn't lie about what I felt," she said. "But I was scared. Of what people would say. Of ruining my son's trust. Of ruining you. You didn't ruin me." Her eyes filled, but the tears didn't fall. "You were the first person in years who made me feel like I could want something again. Not just survive it." I wanted to reach for her. I didn't. "Then why did you push me away?" I asked. She smiled, sad, crooked, real. "Because I thought love was supposed to look a certain way, and you didn't fit that picture." "But I do love you," I said. The words came out without shaking. "I've tried to stop. I've waited for it to fade. It didn't." She closed her eyes, one tear slipping down. "I love you too." That should have felt like a victory. But it didn't. It felt like standing at the edge of something with no bridge in sight. "So what now?" I asked. She stepped forward, slow but certain, put her hand over my chest. "Now we live with it," she said. "We give it time, space, maybe even distance. But not denial, not shame." I nodded. She leaned in, pressed her forehead to mine. "You didn't ruin anything. You reminded me I'm still human." We stood like that for a long time. No kiss, no promises, just breath shared in a quiet room. Then she stepped back. "I have to go. He still needs time. So do I." "I'll wait," I said. And even if I wasn't sure what I was waiting for anymore, I meant it. Weeks passed. I didn't reach out. Not because I didn't want to, I did every day, but because I meant what I said. I'd wait. And this time, waiting wasn't a punishment. It was space for her, for Mateo, for the pieces to settle. I found a new place closer to campus. Small, a little rough around the edges. I bought my own groceries. Learned to cook for one. Started sleeping through the night again. Mostly. Mateo didn't call. I didn't expect him to. But one Sunday afternoon, I walked out of a coffee shop and found him leaning against my car. No warning. No message. Just there. He looked older somehow. Not angry. Just tired. "I'm not here to yell," he said. I nodded, heart hammering. "I've been thinking," he continued, "and I realized you didn't lie to me. She didn't either. You both just didn't know what to do with it." He shrugged. "Still sucks, though." "I know," I said. We stood there a moment. Awkward. He kicked a pebble. I rubbed the back of my neck. "Are you still with her?" he asked. I hesitated. "I don't know what we are, but I still love her." He looked away, then back. "Just don't hurt her, or treat this like some phase. She's not built for casual." "She never was," I said. He gave a short, dry laugh. "Yeah, tell me about it." He didn't hug me or say we were good, but he nodded, and that was more than I thought I'd get. Later that night, I opened my front door to find her standing there. Same coat, same eyes, less fear. "I ran into him," she said. "I know. He told me what you said." I stepped aside, let her in. We didn't talk for a while. She took off her coat. I poured 2 glasses of wine. We sat across from each other, like we had so many times before, but everything felt different now. "I'm tired of pretending," she finally said, "of worrying what the world thinks is acceptable. I've lost years to fear. I don't want to lose this, too." I reached for her hand. This time, she met me halfway. "So what are we?" I asked. "We're figuring it out," she said. "And for once, I'm okay not having the answer." She smiled. Not the polite kind, not the careful one she wore around others. The real one. Soft. Earned. And I knew in that moment, whether we made it a year or 10 or just this night, she'd changed me. And I changed her. Not by force. Not by accident. But by being the one thing neither of us expected: safe.